بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمد ونصلي على رسول الكريم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, we praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, some send peace and blessing our Prophet Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Today in this book Ahwaalul Quboor of Imam Ibn Rajab Al-Hanbali Rahimahullah, the chapter is Al-Bab Al-Thalith fi Ijtima' Al-Mawt ila Al-Mayyit wa Su'alihim Iyyah. This last week's chapter is about the grave, talking to the person when person's lowered into the grave, for the pious person and for the sinful person. And today is the conversation that other dead people that will gather to the person who's deceased. Sheikh Khalid Abdul Latif, the muhaqqiq, the one who did this book and published it, he says that this is a interesting masala to understand, that the souls of the dead, do they meet and do they have discussions with the dead person? And the answer is that there's two types of ruh: al-arwah al-mu'adhaba wa arwah al-muna'ama, the souls that are punished, and Allah save us, and the souls that they're receiving the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the bounties. As for the mu'adhaba, the souls that are punished, they will not be, part of their punishment is that they will not be able to meet anybody. They're deprived of this. And you will understand when I read the riwayat, understand he's giving like a summary of the riwayat. And the souls that are in bounty, they will not have this restriction. They'll be able to visit and they meet when a new person comes to the grave or barzakh, and they can talk to them about what's happening in the dunya. And people will be according to the company that they kept. And for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said he'll be with Rafiq al-A'la, literally the companion on high. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also mentioned that مَن يُطِعِ اللَّهِ وَمَن يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ. So that the people who obey Allah and His Messenger, they'll be with the one that Allah has favored. And this is in this dunya also, but also in the barzakh, the life between this world and the hereafter, and also in Darul Jaza on the Day of Judgment. And a person will be wal mar'u ma'a man ahabba, the person will be with the one that he loves. In these three stages. Generally in this world, you don't stay with the people that you hate. You stay this natural, instinctively inclined towards and go to the people that we love. And in the qabr also, the pious, they'll be given this, and on the Day of Judgment as well. May Allah make us from those. And the first narration mentioned here, Imam Nasai Rahimahullah has narrated this, that Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu said that in regards to the في ذكر خروج الروح وقال في روح المؤمن فيأتون بأرواح المؤمنين فلهم أشد فرح من أحدكم بغاب يقدم عليهم, that no يقدم عليهم, that the souls will be of the believers, mu'mineen, they will have the souls that are already there. When a person passes away, the souls of the believers, they'll be so much happier, like a relative, friend. Someone has gone on a journey and then he's come back after a long time and suddenly appears. Now we give advance notice on social media so everyone knows, so there's no surprise. In the old days, there's no way of knowing. There's a riwayah mentioned that said Umar al-Khattab after Fath of Quds or Masjid al-Aqsa, when he was coming back to Medina Munawwara, the kids, it's mentioned in the riwayah, the kids from the Kutab, they learn the Quran, and so they went to make welcome Amir al-Mu'minin, said Umar al-Khattab. So they ran until they became exhausted, because they don't know exact. It's not like I'm now at Westfield and in 10 minutes time I'll be on George Street, I'll be in Blackburn Road or something like that. There's no way to get that exact information. So he said they ran. It was Thursday, and they ran and they got exhausted, and then they couldn't run anymore. And then Amir al-Mu'mineen, he said, because they used to study 7 days, there was no weekend, so study Quran, every day they used to study. Then Amir al-Mu'mineen, he gave a holiday. Friday became a holiday, gave them a day off. After that became the habit of the Muslims, the Jummah is like the weekend. Like the whole world has a weekend. Some have Friday and Saturday, some have Saturday and Sunday, like we have Saturday and Sunday here. But he gave Friday off. And then the civil servants, the ones who work on the Dawaween, it became a public weekend for them as well. It became a standard that Friday is a day off you don't work on. The point being, mentioning is that people in the old days, we have to imagine these things. Maybe some of us older maybe remember, but we have to imagine that there's no way to inform the people like through a phone or something like that, or a phone call, maybe a messenger, but then to sync it all up and know exactly when the person's coming. So of course when a person comes like that, like a friend or a loved one, then the happiness is so much. So similarly also when these people, when they go to the grave, the happiness was so much, like ashad, the most like they were celebrating, like in these dead souls that they and they start asking questions. ما فعل فلان فيقولون دعوه حتى يستريح. He goes, leave him so he can rest. فإنه كان في غم الدنيا. He was in all the worries, the gham of the dunya, as we all are in the gham of the dunya. فإذا قال أتاكم قالوا, then they will say, didn't he come to you? Like the person that died now, the fresh mayyit, he says, didn't he come to you? Because they asked about a specific. قال ذهب بإلى أمه الهاوية. They will understand, if he didn't come to them, these are the good ones, the mu'mineen. If he didn't, he's already died before me, so he should have come to you. And if he has not come to them, then they understood he's been taken somewhere else, meaning that for his sins. Hawiya, there's a whole in tafsir. Hawiya is basically referring to Jahannam, but there's a whole elaborate tafsir explanation of the words Hawiya. It refer to that a person is grabbed from his head and thrown in Jahannam. It also can mean that like he's entrusted over to the care of Jahannam, like mother takes care. So it's not a literal, it's a metaphorical meaning of the word has many meanings in Arabic. The most famous of course is mother. It could mean the source, so the source of punishment. There's many explanations that are given in tafsir, and the ulama have differed on its meaning, but bottom line is that he's been taken for punishment. Allah save us. In the next riwayah that Abu Ayyub al-Ansari radiallahu anhu narrated, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that in the soul of a mu'min, the life of a mu'min, when it's taken, then the Ahlul Rahmah, the people of Rahmah, they will meet him and they will like give glad tidings, but it said anziru akhakum hatta yastari. They said let him be so that he can rest, because فإنه كان في كرب شديد, he was in difficulty and trials of this dunya. And they will ask him, ما فعل فلان وما فعلت فلانة وهل تزوجت فلانة. That is the questions. They're going to ask her, what happened to so and so? What happened to him? What happened to her? Did she get married? And فإذا سألوا عن رجل مات قبله قال مات قبلي. Because then they ask him, similar to the first one, get a more clearer picture about it, that he died. The one that you asked him about, he died before me. They say قالوا, those souls will say إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون ذهب به إلى أمه الهاوية فبئست الأم وبئست المربية. So خرج بنا بالدنيا وغيرها. That they will say إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. He has been taken to basically Jahannam to be punished, because he didn't come to them. That means he never got to meet them. They're expecting him and he didn't come. For the worst and the worst the one who takes care of somebody. And Ibn Mubarak rahimahullah, he has narrated, and also from Abu Ayyub al-Ansari radiallahu anhu, and just mentioned the chain of narration where this narration is coming from. And he said that when a person dies, in this another narration, Ibn Abi Dunya is narrated with his isnad, that when a person إذا مات الميت استقبل أهله كما يستقبل الغائب. That when a person dies, he is welcome. Istiqbal is done for him, is welcomed by his family, like a person is welcomed by when a person is away, like he's traveling or he's been absent, and he comes back. And also mentioned the riwayah that the souls meet. Is how was your? There's a narrator, one of the narrator, he was talking about it. He heard a narration that came to, but no other details are given of how he came from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But he narrated this point, and he's a reliable narrator. But he said that it has reached me. So they were very careful. I mean, he's a reliable narrator, but they wouldn't say Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam exact said, because when you say that, that's puts it up very high. So he said it has reached me that the souls meet at the time of death or after death, and they say the souls will say to the dead person, how was your كيف كان ما وراءك يعني كيف مأواك and then كيف ما وراءك, what's the situation, وفي أي جسدين كنت, in which type of two bodies were you in, في طيب أو خبيث, in a good one or in a bad one or wretched one, right? And then the narrator said ثم بكى حتى غلب البكاء. The narrator, when he's talking, they started talking like this, mentioned in the narration, he started crying until like he couldn't stop crying. And other narrations mention that person, when he goes to the grave, the people come to him, his aqarib, his close one, and the one that preceded him, that died before him, and they're very happy with him, and they're happy with him, they're happy with each other, more happy than a musafir when he comes back from a journey. I mean, there's all these ash'ar and poems in the musafir who dies far away. I don't know, in our culture I heard these naats and nasheeds and songs and about the musafir dying far away from his home. I think that's no longer it's we can get his GPS location, where he died. We can track him exactly where he died. We just do the was a Google locate or whatever it is, So, but in the old days, like there's poems about the musafir dying far away from people he doesn't know, and this is why even you can give zakat even to a rich person who's cut off from his money. This is now we just check the Series Maestro logo, we look for that, and we can access our ATM, our money from Australia. But in the old days, people get, once they cut off, they're in another foreign land. Even if they're wealthy, he's ghani here, but he's on a foreign land, he can't access his wealth. So then is mentioned, this is a masala that we know, that a person, one of the people gives zakat to, is a person who's cut off from his homeland. So it wasn't just communication, but also money, and so zakat could be given the person to make his way so he can reach his homeland. People lose their money, they get robbed, and so forth. The next narration is that they will ask, the mayyit will ask, these are variations but they're similar meaning. They'll ask ما فعل فلان, what did so and so do, and فيقول الصالح ما فعل فلان ألم يأتكم أو ما قدم عليكم فيقول إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون سلك به غير سبيلنا. So they will understand, they will extrapolate that, they'll understand. They said he has followed a path other than our path. He came before me, he died before me, so he should have come. Then they, and Allah make us from Salihin. And when a person, one of the narration mentioned the person passed away, and people asked the news, and ما فعل فلان فإذا قال توفي, he died, ولم يأتهم قالوا ذهب به إلى أم الهاوية. So very similar narrations and repetition in here. The purpose of the chapter and the intention of the author is that there are riwayat explaining that the souls do meet and they welcome the person. So other than the grave welcoming, which is a separate conversation we covered last week, this is a conversation now between the souls, his relatives and friends, and the people, the pious, the good ones they meet. And next week is about the chapter 4 is regarding the a'mal of the person, and the a'mal, because the grave is a container of deeds, and the speech, there's actually conversation between your a'mal, your good deeds or bad deeds are given a form, physical form, a representation, and there's actually conversations that will occur between the dead person and his own deeds that he did in his life. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make our graves a garden from the gardens of paradise. Subhanallah bihamdi.